folks you meet in our show. The folks who sing and dance and act in our show. Pick out any performer, young or old. They are so appealing, even in scenes they're stealing. You will like the songs you hear in our show. The songs you sang 1,000 times before our show. You'll lose your hearts, I promise you, in this, our 2x4 show. Welcome on the door show. If you make it your show too.
Our quarter century is a joyful story of how scores of us came together to act with faith in religious liberalism. We worked hard together. We remembered to smell the flowers together.
My name is Pat Griffin, and I'm one of the charter members of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of St. Augustine. I was a long-time member of the church in Richmond, Virginia, and then when we did not have a Unitarian group here, my husband and I attended the one in Jacksonville and the one in Ormond Beach. The fellowship was founded rather interestingly through ads in the paper. Well, there was an ad in the paper. There was also something in the personal columns. The first thing that they did was to meet at Ted Karam's house. He was what is considered our founder and deceased for the last 3 or 4 years. He had us there several times right at the beginning. And then after that, he was instrumental in placing us at the Art Association. And we stayed at the Art Association for about 3 years. It was interesting because we only had it in the evening every other Sunday night, and it was more of a social thing in some ways. We had wine and cheese afterwards. So we stayed there a while. And then we moved on to the Bridge Club. When we first met, we were sponsored by the church in Jacksonville, and we met. They deployed somebody to be with us for several years, and they gave us a check for $500. We had some interesting people in the congregation that joined during the Bridge Club era. Stan Weisberger, Ellie Berry, Mary Ellen Kelso, and the Klarmans. We also had a minister right at the beginning, Harry Stafford. He went on to Harvard to do some graduate work and then never came back as a minister to us. John DeWolf Hurt was a marvelous person, and he came and talked to us a number of times. What he had was, I guess, the kind of sense of humor that we needed at that time. Dan became our lay minister. He was also the great kind of person.
By the name of B.J. McNair was supposed to be the secretary for the fellowship. Now, she was a friend of Ted Karam. She was going to send out postcards for the meetings, like meeting notices. But unfortunately, her husband suddenly passed away. So I took over the job of mailing out the meeting notices. Eventually, this turned into the Quest because it was done every other week because we were meeting only every other week. So I asked for people to submit names for the newsletter, and I got none. So I decided it was Quest. I saw it somewhere, so I made it the Quest.
Hi, I'm Cindy Gilo, and I'm here to talk about the dedication and getting our building, which was a huge event in our life. When we started to rent, they allowed us storage, but it still wasn't our building, and there wasn't things that we could do to it to improve it because it didn't belong to us. We had no home. We were essentially vagabonds. We were, as long as we could be sure to rent, that was fine, but we never knew where we were going to settle. And the debate, when it came up to the building, it was not too big for us, or the cost we could handle. And so to get the building was a wonderful thing for us. We purchased the building, and I was president that year, but I really was not in the negotiation. Al and John O'Rourke did a lot of the work for that. We came up with the money because people simply said, this is a worthwhile project. I'll donate $5,000. It went for a loan.
The brass chalice, donated by John and Sadie Whitson, came from India. The marble column segment originated in Italy. The cherry wood was from Miami, salvaged from Hurricane Andrew. The clear globe with wick is filled with oil from Arabia. Ted Karam put all of the above together. The chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism around the world.
The year of 91-92 was a big year because that was the 10th year of our anniversary of being together. It was also the year that we got the building and did the building dedication. And I want to say the building dedication was in the early part of the year and of 92, as was our 10th anniversary celebration. For the dedication, we had a lot of symbolism. And so we did things like breaking bread and passing it around, along with words to the next person down the line. We passed the chalice light around. John DeWolf Hurt was here. He spoke. He was almost in tears. He was so excited, as were a number of other people. We really felt like we had come home.
So from the time we got to the Art Association until the time we bought this building, that coffee pot and all the supplies were in our trunk of our car. And we drove it back and forth because you just couldn't leave anything anyway. There was no storage for us in either place.
John DeWolfhart put on a production, a one-man show for us, for our benefit, as a matter of fact. He was wonderful, and he had humor and stories from his time as a minister, and it really was very wonderful of him to do that for us, and it was for the benefit of us to get the building.
The opportunity presented itself for us to buy up the mortgage, and that way we would be, we would be free and clear as far as the building was concerned. But at that point, there were a number of us who had contributed money or were holding the mortgage. And what we did was we got together and we decided at that time that we were in a position to be able to forgive whatever was due on the mortgage, and did it as a group, which gave us the possibility to own this building free and clear. This building was extremely important to us. The idea that we could have our own place, that we could do with it what we wanted, and that we weren't beholden to anyone, gave us the impetus to make the offer to forgive. And of course we were helped out at that time. In addition, as far as maintenance was concerned, that at that point we were renting out part of the space to Temple Bet Yam and sharing the building with them. Recognition dinner. But it was great. Everybody came here to celebrate that we actually owned the building. In other words, we burned the mortgage.
I was president from 1991 through 1992. When we moved to this building and started to rent, we had people coming with children, but they could never stay because there was no place for the children. It became apparent to me anyway that if we wanted our congregation to grow with younger families, we had to provide a Sunday school for children. During my year, and when I made that a priority, I was trying to convince people. Finally, I just said, well, toward the end of my time, that I would just start the Sunday school. It would run or it wouldn't run, as the case may be.
Jindy and I went down to Orlando to a conference down there about how to start a Sunday school from scratch. We didn't know anything about it. We did manage to get a Sunday school started, and this is a picture in our newspaper showing our first Sunday school meeting in 1992.
So we had many meetings in the evenings in which the parents would come and help us cut out activity projects for the children.
Even as we revived our Sunday school program, we honored the octogenarians among us. Their presence reminded us all that our 25 years is but a moment in time.
I decided music is really important as a tradition. So I started doing the Christmas programs.
With boughs of holly, la 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 la, la 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 la. Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la, la 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 la. Now we don our gay apparel, la 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 la. It's a Yuletide carol, la 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 la.
Brother Heinrich, the abbot wants to see you right now.
Oh dear, that usually means trouble. What does he want?
I don't know, but you better hurry.
Sigismund, you stay here and I'll be right back.
Ah, Brother Heinrich, I have just received a letter. I have just received this letter from the bishop. He tells me that he will be visiting us for our Christmas program and staying for the Christmas feast. He especially wants to hear the choir and sample our wine to see if they are both as good as last year. And one thing more. That ridiculous donkey must be dismissed from the choir.
Sigismund, because the bishop is coming to our Christmas service, the abbot says you can't sing in the choir anymore. Thank you. That ends our Christmas service, and now on to our feast.
My friends, this year's Christmas, the whole church was the best ever, and the wine, I think it's the best I've ever tasted, but I've got a little more just to make
The Christmas program. We managed to get one or two rehearsals in usually. Mary Ellen has been spearheading that for so long, and I just enjoy working with Mary Ellen so much.
In these days, we built a ramp to our building's lower level in 2008, pleasing both the fire marshal and everybody who prefers a ramp to the stairs. Years earlier, we built a front entrance ramp, and we were leaving a humane footprint.
I was building a grounds chair for several years, and then I focused on the outside. Did the first landscape plan back around 1999. I applied some of the principles that I learned about xeriscape from my work at the Water Management District. Ironically, at the same time we put in the irrigation system.
Sunday programs include a famously wide range of speakers and topics. Sometimes it's a panel of members. We've welcomed distinguished guests, including a rabbi, a UN peacekeeper, interfaith veterans of civil rights battles, the president of the ACLU, the head of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and Senator George McGovern.
I was looking up a few facts on you Unitarian Universalists, and I was pleased to see that President John Adams, one of our great presidents, and perhaps his even greater wife Abigail, were Unitarians. John Calhoun, regarded as one of the great senators of all time, was a Unitarian, even though he had differing views on the question of slavery. But that's one thing I like about Unitarians. You permit the search for truth and meaning and purpose in our lives to be something that's up for discussion and debate. I'm also reminded that Tom Paine, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin were kind of predecessors of the Unitarian view in that they were deists. Even writers like Emerson and Thoreau and Theodore Parker, Charles Darwin, held to the Unitarian view. So that's a very distinguished recommendation, I think. Now, my dad was a Methodist minister, a Wesleyan Methodist minister, and I'm fond of the observation that someone made that Methodism won't save you from sin, but it will take the fun out of it. I've never found that to be entirely true. Some of those sins are still fun.
I'm Nana Royer, the current editor of our newsletter, The Quest. In September of 2004, we published the first Quest with me as editor. A year after, I decided that with board approval, would begin emailing the Quest to everyone who had computers. I also added color.
Somebody went out and bought an electronic keyboard, which I used, and I told them, now, we are going to sing Christmas carols, and I know that you don't believe most of the stuff in the Christmas carols, because you're all Unitarian Universalists, but you will suspend your belief and you will enjoy this kind of thing. So that was the beginning of our music. Al Tereski and I got together and found an ad for a piano that was pretty reasonable, and we went and bought it. So that was the beginning of having a piano. We had 4 or 5 people who more or less could sing, and we started having a choir. The old piano that we bought was about 15 years old, and it got ants in it, of all things. Taffy would be sitting there going, killing ants on the keyboard. And I got together with Joanne Engelbert, so we started asking the congregation, and lo and behold, we got enough money to buy our beautiful new white baby grand.
Now in its 11th year, the UU Book Club replenishes the well of learning and reflection. Downstairs Dialogue covers a myriad of topics, including this one, where Nick McAuliffe and Tony Wallace reveal their ancient city archaeological digs. Great Decisions, in its 9th year, proves every month that no foreign affairs issue is either simple or easy. Almost as important as our Sunday service is our coffee hour afterwards. Coffee and conversation are fuels we convert to energy each week. When our UU extended family celebrates the holidays together on our lower level, we revere our decades-old tradition of sharing Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners.
You heard the ladies' side of their version of what they thought was important in America. How about the male side? Can I have some volunteers for some guys to there's one, 4. All right, I think that's all we're going to need. We're going to need just 4. 4 is good enough. All right, guys. Hey, you're awfully brave to come up here. Hey, now what's your guys' names?
This isn't The Price is Right.
Yeah. You stand?
Dave.
Doug. Oh, I didn't plan that. Stan, you've heard the ladies. Now, what do you think is the most important aspect of a marriage? What do you think?
Most important aspect of a marriage?
Yes.
Getting a maid.
I beg your pardon?
Getting a maid.
You think that everybody ought to have
Everybody ought to have a maid.
Oh, I don't believe this.
Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a working girl. Everybody ought to have a working girl to put her around the house.
Dave, certainly you're not going to agree with Stan on this.
You know, I think Stan's on to something.
What?
I think everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a menial, consistently congenial, and quieter than a house.
That's okay. That's okay. Don, now I know you're getting married in a couple of weeks now. Surely you don't agree with these guys, do you?
Of course I do. Why do you think I'm getting married? Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a serving girl, a loyal and unswerving girl, who's quieter than a mouse.
Doug, you're my last vote. Please don't make a majority.
I'm afraid it's unanimous, and that's my final answer. Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a maid. Someone who's efficient. Everybody ought to have a maid. Someone who's reliable and honest. Wait a minute! We'll get this right. Everybody ought to have a maid. Someone who's efficient and reliable, medium and pliable, and quieter than a mouse. Richly delicious. Hurry up the dishes. We have some in. Richly delightful. Sleeping out. Sleeping in. Everybody ought to have a
And inevitably, raising funds became another important tradition. From the beginning, fundraisers and pledge drives with festive themes like high tea and Italian night raised money that was vital to our fellowship. The tried and true rummage sale began a custom that lives on. Folk singers and foreign exchange student singers resonate in our sanctuary. Our service auction offers members the opportunity to be the winning bidders on an experience like Splash in a Pool Party, explore Anastasia State Park, learn at the Whitney Marine Lab, paint a picture, and partake in many other fun activities. Tom May's lamps are always in high demand at our silent auction. Jewelry and art sales abound. On Fridays, we screen classic and foreign movies in the sanctuary. All of these offer us a fun way to contribute to the solvency of our fellowship. We support St. Johns County's Ecumenical Ministries Food Pantry. Committed volunteers staff the pantry, and many pounds of food are collected weekly to stock the shelves.
My name is Nana Royer, and for several years I was the chair for Adopt a Highway. This program was begun before that by Mary Ellen Kelso. We were the first religious group in town to take on and adopt the highway program. Just last year, I transferred my leadership position to the erstwhile Palmer Short.
I really enjoy it because you get out Saturday mornings and meet people and they beautify the county, and it's a nice walk. It has been increased to 2 miles.
UUs long ago committed ourselves to acting for social justice. With deeds, not creeds, as our mottos, we pushed hard, helping to make St. Augustine's Memorial to Civil Rights Foot Soldiers of 1964 a reality, to build homes for Habitat for Humanity, to write letters to prisoners of conscience for Amnesty International, to bear witness against government-sponsored torture, to stand up and be counted for gay rights, to protest dumb wars. We embraced the goal of reaching Green Sanctuary designation. Members travel the highways and byways of our green initiatives, such as our boat trip from Blue Springs State Park and our 350.org work party In fact, we've been participating in green causes for a long time. We encourage children to celebrate Earth Day, part of our long tradition of belief in the interdependence of all life.
My name is Joyce Peterson. I've been a member of the UU Fellowship for about 8 or 9 years. The Peace Pole, the artist, volunteered without me even asking him to paint our Peace Pole if we would just bring the cedar wood there. It was decided that we should let Don do it. He was a local artist. Let him do whatever he wanted, free reign to do whatever he wanted, and he came up with that wonderful paint job and the flowers and the peace dog. Then we had the unveiling, and he came the day before, and he actually set the Peace Pole up, dug a deep hole, put a whole bunch of concrete in, got it ready for the formal unveiling the next day. And Don picked the area to put it, viewable from the road.
So this is our story. We hold fast to the often lonely liberal faith that brought us together from many places of origin and many sources of insight. We cherish a simple house of worship that shelters our community and our hopes for a sustainable, more peaceful world. We stand together knowing that our time is for only a moment, for the eternal cause of universal dignity.